call to order this regular Board of Directors meeting for the Siloam Springs Board of Directors, February 1st, 2022. Roll call.
Sappington.
Here.
Smiley.
Here.
Burns.
Here.
Hunt.
Here.
Rissler.
Here.
Allen.
Here.
Carroll.
Here.
At this time, if you all will please stand with me, Director Smiley will lead us in prayer and remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Father, we are thankful for so many blessings. We ask that you give us the ability to make wise and careful decisions in the best interest of our citizens. We pray that you keep our community safe and healthy, and you will watch over our community, our nation, and for all those that serve and protect us wherever they may be. In Jesus' name.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. At this time, I would ask that anyone that has an electronic device, please silence that. And thank you. We start with our public input time. At this time, the public may address the Board of Directors regarding any item that is not listed on the board's regular agenda. Is there anyone that would like to speak to the board? There is not, then we will also ask if there is anyone that would like to address the board concerning any item that is on our consent agenda. There being none, we will move on to the consent agenda. Item A, regular meeting minutes, January 18, 2022. B, Resolution 06-22, Final Plat Development Permit, the Reserve Edition, 300 block of North Simon Sager Avenue. C, Resolution 07-22, Adopt Benton County Hazard Mitigation Plan. D, Resolution 08-22, WOKA Kayak Park Trail, Willingness of City to Accept Dedication. That is the consent agenda. Directors, any questions, comments, or any item you would like to have removed?
Madam Mayor, letter B,
Yes.
please.
Letter B, as in boy?
Yep.
Yes. Thank you, David. Anyone else? If not, I would ask for a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented with item B removed.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Roll call.
Smiley. Yes. Burns.
Yes.
Hunt.
Yes.
Rissler.
Yes.
Allen.
Yes.
Carroll.
Yes.
Sappington.
Yes. Motion is approved. Item B, Director Allen, the resolution 0622.
I've just got to abstain, so
Thank you.
I couldn't vote.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Do I have any other questions concerning item B, resolution 0622?
Madam Mayor,
Yes.
is there somebody here that represents the owner, or the owner? Is there that can ask questions? Sorry. What kind of buildings are being? Is that it's a multi?
It's an apartment complex.
It's an apartment complex. Okay.
Right.
Okay. I was asked and I didn't know, so thank
Right.
you.
Is there anyone else? If not, do I have a motion to approve item B, resolution 06-22?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Roll call.
Burns.
Yes.
Hunt.
Yes.
Rissler.
Yes.
Carroll.
Yes.
Sappington.
Yes.
Smiley. Yes.
Abstain.
Motion is approved. Director Allen did abstain. Next, on to our regularly scheduled items. Ordinances. Ordinance 22-05, first reading, amending Section 102-21 of the City Municipal Code, rezoning from A1 to R4, the 300 block of North Simon Sager Avenue. Ben?
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor, members of the board. Before you is an ordinance. This is to rezone the 300 block of Simon Sager Avenue. This is the same property that you were looking at just now for the Reserve Edition. The request is to rezone from A1 to R4. That's for residential multifamily. Here you see the site plan for the rezone. It's 17.27 acres. And this is one of the lots from the final plat that we were just looking at. And access to this lot will be from off of Simon Sager, and it is generally just north of the Lowe's Home Improvement Store, just to give you an orientation of where that is. The future land use map here shows a mixed-use zone, which would be good for both commercial and residential. And here you see the site looking to the north. We are recommending approval with no needed conditions. Thank you.
Thank you, Ben. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to make a comment or have questions for ordinance 22-05? There being none, directors, comments, questions? There being none, do I have a motion to place ordinance 22-05 on its first reading, suspending the rules and reading title only?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Roll call.
Hunt,
Yes.
Chrysler,
Yes.
Allen,
Abstain.
Carroll,
Yes.
Sappington,
Yes.
Smiley,
Yes.
Burns.
Yes.
Motion is approved. Director Allen did abstain. Philip?
Ordinance number 22-05, an ordinance amending section 102-21 of the Siloam Springs Municipal Code, City Zoning Map, rezoning from A1 to R4, property located at the 300 block of North Simon Sager Avenue.
Thank you. Next, ordinance 22-06, placed on its first and only reading, waiving competitive bidding for the electric department, 2022 Dodge 5500 regular cab, truck, and chassis from Superior Automotive Group, $61,775. Phil?
Thank you, Mayor, members of the board. Phil Stokes, Electric Director. We received two bids on this truck, one from Superior and another one from Lewis. The Lewis required a $2,000 deposit, and they said it'd be anywhere from 3 to 9 months, and they couldn't really guarantee that it would be here within that time frame. Sourcewell said they couldn't bid anything until after the third quarter. Superior, they had ordered several of these trucks, and they said they could guarantee it'd be within 30 days, and we got notice this afternoon that it's actually on the lot this afternoon. So this truck basically is for a wire spool holder. We're able to take what's called a do-easy bed, and we can enables us to roll the wire up and out, which is kind of unusual, so that when we wreck out lines or rolling up large amounts of wire, we can use this bed to do so. And it saves a lot of time, and it's just it can also, we don't waste as much wire. We can roll it out just exactly what we need. And so we'd ask that you approve this ordinance to help us get this truck.
Thank you, Phil. Is there anyone in the audience that has a question or comment for ordinance 22-06? There being none, directors.
Madam Mayor,
Yes.
I just wanted to note for the public that this is part of our 2022 budget was included in this.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Madam Mayor,
Yes.
the cost of the do-easy bed, is that included or?
No, it's separate.
Additional, how much is it?
It was like 26,000, something like that. It's in our budget also.
And it was budgeted?
Yes.
All right, thank you.
Anyone else? If not, do I have a motion to place ordinance 22-06 on its first and only reading, suspending the rules and reading title only?
So moved. Second.
Have a motion and a second. Roll call.
Is that Mindy and Marla?
Yes.
Chrysler,
Yes.
Allen,
Yes.
Carroll,
Yes.
Sappington,
Yes.
Smiley,
Yes.
Burns,
Yes.
Hunt.
Yes.
Motion is approved. Philip?
Ordinance number 22-06, an ordinance approving the purchase of a 2022 Dodge 5500 1.5-ton truck and waiving competitive bidding.
Thank you. I now entertain a motion to adopt ordinance 22-06.
So moved?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Roll call.
Allen,
Yes.
Carroll,
Yes.
Sappington,
Yes.
Smiley,
Yes.
Burns,
Yes.
Hunt,
Yes.
Rissler.
Yes.
Motion is approved. Next is ordinance 21-22. First reading, annexation of 53.8 acres, 200 block of Airport Road. This ordinance also is a part, or is for the same property as Resolution 60-21, preliminary plat development permit, 200 block of Airport Road, Hillcrest addition. And Ben, I believe you're going to present information for both of these at once, and
Yes,
then we'll vote
ma'am.
on them separately.
Yes, Madam
Thank you.
Mayor, yeah. All right, well, Ben Rhodes again, city planner. What you're looking at, as the mayor stated, is the ordinance to annex in property off of the 200 block of Airport Road. As you may recall, this was tabled at the Board of Directors meeting back in November to this specific date. So it would coincide with the Hillcrest preliminary plat review, which is the next one on the agenda. So that's why these are both coming together at the same time. The overall proposal is to plat the 54-acre property into 99 single-family lots. This was previously planned for 117 lots. However, that's been changed since the last time you guys reviewed this. The average lot size they're showing is about 16,000 square feet, and the annexation is from A1 to R1, or A1 and R1, pardon me. This is the annexation zoning plan that was provided by the applicant. It just gives you the overall zoning that they're wanting for the property. So originally, as I was stating, that there was an R2 zone included in this. That's now been eliminated. So the entire subdivision is just the R1 zone, as well as the A1, which would be right on the corner there shown in the green. Here you see the original site plan. Again, this is what you would have looked at back in November when it got remanded. And it was at that time for 117 buildable lots, again on the 54 acres. I would want to mention, and was brought up in the staff report, that originally this subdivision was actually for 140 lots, but after several staff meetings, we talked them into doing a little bit less lots. So there's been a progression from 140 to 117, now to 99. As you can see, they're getting less and less with each review. So this is the updated site plan. So there are 18 fewer lots than before, which will, of course, cut down on the projected traffic. The smaller lots are going to be further south into the interior of the subdivision, with the larger lots all matching the lots within the Stonecrest addition. You can see that with the lot lines basically lining up along each one of these lots. They're basically identical sizes to what's in Stonecrest. The R1 zone does allow for a 10,000 square foot lot with a minimum 80-foot lot width. As far as the coloring, the pink color refers to the second phase, and the blue color shade is the first phase. So it'll be done in multiple phases. They'll final out with a final plat the first phase, and then come back and build the second phase at a later time. So just one thing to point out with the updated site plan, the one area to highlight is previously this was sort of an unknown zone, if you will. The road sort of dead end to that, and there wasn't anything known what was going to go past that. Now they have clarified that. It is a cul-de-sac, and you can see these lots shown there. They are quite a bit larger than the other lots in the subdivision, And that is primarily due to the rough terrain and topography right in there that they clearly just need larger lots to sort of make that work. Here we see the site view. This is what I showed last time, just looking to the property. I apologize I couldn't get closer, but because of the zone around the airport, you can only get the drone so close to the site because of that restriction. But here is the site aerial view, just to kind of give you a better view of what the property looks like. Staff is recommending approval with 4 conditions. The first is the main construction entrance would only be off of Airport Road. They would not be allowed to use the subdivision streets within Stonecrest to get into the property for construction. There is a waiver on the block length, and let me go back and just show you that because I didn't do that earlier. From here to here, that is that block length needs a waiver because it is technically too long of a block, but the applicant doesn't have any option to make that shorter because there's already an existing stub out coming out from Stonecrest, and of course Airport Road is set where that's going to be, so they're just requesting a waiver for that. There will be need for intersection improvements along Airport Road, which entails that dedicated right turn lane getting out onto Highway 412 due to the increased traffic. And then, of course, the property does need to be annexed and zoned as according to the annexation plan prior to construction on the property. And one last thing to bring up, we did reach out to the developer to request that they do a neighborhood meeting, and they did do that. And I understand that was well attended, and they received some good feedback. And there were some questions of city staff, and I included those in the Planning Commission staff report with our responses, so you can see that in the staff report if you have any questions. And with that, we are recommending approval, and we're with those conditions, and we're available for any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Ben. So first, we will look at Ordinance 21-22 for the annexation. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to make a comment or have questions about this ordinance? There being none, directors, comments or questions?
Madam Mayor,
Yes, Mindy.
I do have a question. And we are talking about annexing, I know, and it's not really more a question as much as it is a comment. I understand that we usually notify neighbors of projects like this, and that we did notify back in, well, let me back up. If I have questions related to the Planning Commission meeting, does that need to be for the next part that we're talking about? The actual significant development plan?
Well, yeah, the preliminary plat was what went to the Planning Commission. The Planning Commission did not review the annexation. They were aware of it, but they don't make recommendations.
Are neighbors generally notified in zoning situations?
Yes.
Okay. My understanding, we know, and one of the reasons why we tabled this before was because we had a lot of residents who were concerned, and a lot of residents attended the initial Planning Commission meeting, and a lot of residents came the night that we first heard about this, the night in which we tabled this. I understand that during that meeting, we did talk about when it was remanded, that it would be discussed again, this whole issue, the annexation, the significant development plan, that it would all be discussed at the Planning Commission meeting on January 11th. I understand that was stated. I'm not sure that the residents fully understood that, as was indicated by none of the residents being at the Planning Commission meeting. I have been contacted by a few of them who were not aware of it. Granted, we went through the proper channels of notification. I'm not comfortable, though, that there wasn't more, even if the sign had just had a new date for the Planning Commission meeting. So I feel like, for the sake of transparency, we've not done all we can to make sure that the citizens that live in that area and will be impacted by this project, and did have some concerns with The primary concern being that intersection and the safety when there's extra traffic. And while the developer did decide to reduce the number of homes there, it wasn't a huge reduction. From 116 to 99, it's still going to be a lot of traffic. I'm not anti-development. I'm happy that developers want to come to our area and develop, but I don't know that 116 to 99 alleviates the concerns of the citizens who were at the meetings they knew about, but just didn't understand fully when it was going to be discussed again. So I just have some concerns about all of this.
Thank you.
Madam
What
Mayor.
else? David?
Ben, was this remanded, as Mindy said, or was this pulled by the developer to reconsider?
No, it was remanded at the board meeting. It was you guys voted to remand it
Okay.
to the planning commission on
I
January
knew
11th.
that we had quite a few people show up, and for some reason I thought that the developer had said he wanted to look at it again and make some changes. Out of curiosity, Ben, do you know how many lots are in the development to the north? Is it Stonecrest?
Yes, Stonecrest subdivision. I did look that up. There's 164 lots in Stonecrest.
154?
164. 164.
164? But there's actually 2 streets off of Airport into it, right?
I believe so, yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah.
164. And do you know the acreage of all that, of Stonecrest?
They're comparable with this subdivision.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, the Stonecrest is zoned R1, so
Yeah.
that's the same zoning.
Madam Mayor,
Yes, Carol?
are we just discussing the annexation, or are we
Yes,
discussing?
this is annexation only right now.
Okay.
Any other questions or comments about the ordinance for annexation?
Madam Mayor, I guess I do just need clarification. So if we're just voting on the first reading tonight.
That's right.
But approving annexation does not automatically approve the significant development plan. That's a whole separate issue.
That's correct.
Anyone else? If not, do I have a motion to place ordinance 21-22 on its first reading, suspending the rules and reading title only?
So moved.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. Roll call.
Carroll,
Yes.
Sappington,
Yes.
Smiley,
Yes.
Burns,
Yes.
Hunt,
Yes.
Rissler,
Yes.
Allen.
Yes.
Motion is approved. Next, we will consider Resolution 60-21, the preliminary plat development permit for the, I'm sorry, Philip.
Thank you. Ordinance number 21-22, an ordinance accepting the annexation of certain territory at the 200 block of North Airport Road to the city of Siloam Springs, Arkansas, and assigning the same to a ward.
Thank you. Now we will move to Resolution 60-21, preliminary plat development permit for the 200 block of Airport Road, Hillcrest addition. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to make a comment or have a question about this resolution? There being none, directors, comments, questions about the preliminary plat development?
Madam Mayor.
Yes, Marla.
Ben, I wanted to find out a little more information on, you were extending the length of the road past what we had recommended for safety reasons.
I didn't quite catch the full question. I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry. You have extended the length of the road with a waiver.
You're right, the block waiver, yep, yes.
Okay, and that's going to be the higher end homes down in there per se with the larger lots?
The larger lots, yes, I would say, the ones that match the lots to the north, yep.
Is this a point in time that we might bring up the sprinkler issue?
You can, but this doesn't require sprinkling, because there's multiple ways in and out of the subdivision.
Okay. And then we're requiring the developer to do something to the intersection of Airport and 412?
That's correct, yeah.
Does he own that corner portion as well?
No, ma'am, he doesn't own anything that's outside of the picture here, so that lot to the south is another owner.
How can we ask him to do that if he doesn't have any property that abuts that?
It's just a standard off-site improvement requirement. Like if there was a specific impact because the development was happening, we would require them to do work on off-site improvements to do that.
Okay, thank you.
Mayor.
Yes, Brad.
Hey, Ben, under land use requirements, and if you go to section 4, adequate infrastructure, including limitations, water and sewage. So, in the past, when this first came up, there was a couple of things, and one of them is water pressure out there. And I'm not sure who it affects the most. I have an idea that it's predominantly to the south, but that would just be me speaking off the cuff. So I know we have adequate lines out there, but that is at the far end, and the pressure seems to be poor at some of the residential areas. So that's as we add to that, I'm not sure if we're gonna do anything to increase pressure on that. I'm sure the hydrants will meet the standard, but I'm talking on the residential end. And even though that one is has been passed to Marla, and that's going to be her baby now. And I think what she was speaking of, the folks out there as we develop, condition of Airport Road has always been a concern. And then I just want those folks to know. They have postponed our Arkansas Municipal League meeting, so we're going later here in the spring. But one of the benefits of going there personally is, for me specifically, is you could speak to RDOT, and even though we may be pleading an empty case, we're going to bring up this intersection again. I have no doubt that those of us that will attend in person will do our due diligence just to let them know our concerns. So as this develops along, I just wanted folks to know that we did not forget that concern. Thank you.
Anyone else?
Madam Mayor?
Yes, David.
I got confused from what Marla was asking Ben about, and what Ben had said earlier. Ben, were you saying that you're going to require the developer to make changes at Airport Road intersection with the development, or Airport Road and the highway?
Airport Road and the highway is my
okay,
understanding,
okay.
yeah.
Because I thought you first meant as you coming into the development, but then what Marla said, what will they do? I mean, do you have a clue how they?
My understanding, and we have an engineer here too who can add on to what I say if I misspeak, but my understanding is there is a right turn lane that will be added, so that vehicles will not be held up along a longer queue for ones that are trying to make a right versus going straight or making a left.
On Airport Road? On
Airport Road, yeah, due to the higher traffic volume, yeah.
Madam Mayor?
Yes.
Not really a question, but a comment or statement. I appreciate the cooperation that the city has shown, and even the meeting they had with the community to the north of it, and willingness of the developer to work with the city, reduce things, go with phase 1, phase 2. I think this is a good plan and a way that we can go forward and help everybody to achieve their goal.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
Madam Mayor,
Mindy?
just one more comment back to what I was saying before that really was more toward the significant development plan. If it is possible for us to update our communication system in situations like this to where even if we just put new dates on the signs that people are looking at to show sort of what's going on with new plans, I think that would be helpful, just so that we can stay as transparent as we can.
My understanding is that we have a policy in the works to do just that, so
Perfect,
thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Anyone else? If not, do I have a motion to approve Resolution 09-22? I'm sorry, 60-21, preliminary plat development permit, 200 block of Airport Road, Hillcrest Edition.
So moved.
Second.
Carol and Reed.
Second.
Roll call.
Sappington,
Yes.
Smiley,
Yes.
Burns,
Yes.
Hunt,
No.
Rissler,
No.
Allen,
No.
Carroll,
Yes.
4-3.
Motion is approved. Next is Resolution 09-22, Preliminary Plat Development Permit, the Commons Edition, 2000 block of Don Hill Road. Ben?
Yes, again, thank you, Madam Mayor and members of the board. So what you're looking at now is another preliminary plat. This one's called the Commons Edition. This is a little bit smaller. This is going to create 28 new single-family residential lots. It's also on a smaller property. We're only about 7.73 acres. We have an average lot size around 7,300 square feet. Just so you know where this is on the 2000 block of Don Hill Road, just on the east side of the street, across from the northern entrance of First Baptist Church is essentially right where that is. Here we see the proposal. It is, as I stated, 28 single-family lots, so that is allowed to have a single entrance without there being any problem with fire access or anything like that. We do have the 2 cul-de-sacs. There's also 2 drainage areas here. Let me point those out. One along here and then one up on this lot. And that's with the main entrance, of course, aligning with the driveway of the church, which we wanted to make sure that that could happen. Here we see the property with the looking up to the north. So the street frontage along Don Hill Road will be improved to city standards. Traffic on Don Hill Road will increase, but the volume generated is not enough to trigger any major intersection improvements at this time for Highway 43 and Don Hill. And those would also have to be approved by RDOT because Arkansas Highway 43 is a state highway. Staff is recommending approval of this development with no needed conditions, and we're available for any of your questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Ben. Is there anyone in the audience that has comments or questions for Resolution 09-22? There being none, directors, comments or questions?
Madam Mayor?
Yes, David.
Ben, you may be able to answer this. I don't know. I understood when this was first set up for development, it was supposed to be for 55 plus age group. What happened to change that? Do you know?
The developer changed their mind and wanted to do something different, is my understanding.
It's the same developer?
I believe so, yeah.
And there's nothing that the city could have made a requirement that be his plan and therefore it must stay according to the plan?
Well, those plans never came to
beginning.
fruition, to my understanding, so there wasn't any mandate that would require them to stay with that original plan.
That's why I didn't know is if there was a way to have, whenever it was approved, if there was a way to have mandated it. I don't know if that's possible and it's hindsight, I just didn't know if that, I know the next thing we're doing on Lake Francis Drive is for seniors, and I think that's great. So I just didn't know if that was something that could have been done back in the day. I have no clue on if we have that power. But anyway, with it adding as much traffic as it does, and the fact that we do not have plans to widen or improve Don Hill at any time soon, I can't support this.
David, anyone else? If not, do I have a motion to approve Resolution 09-22, Preliminary Plat Development Permit?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Roll call.
Smiley,
Yes.
Burns,
Yes.
Hunt,
Yes.
Rissler,
Yes.
Allen,
No.
Carroll,
Yes.
Sappington.
Yes.
Motion is approved. Next is Resolution 10-22, significant development permit, 801 East Lake Francis Drive, Sager Creek Crossing Apartments. Ben?
Yes, thank you again, Madam Mayor, members of the board, Ben Rhodes, Senior Planner. So what we're looking at is a 60-unit multifamily project for seniors. This is at 801 East Lake Francis Drive. And here, this is a little bit different because the site plan's broken up into two different parts, so I kind of blowing up each section so you can see easier. But this is essentially how you get in off of Lake Francis Drive. There'll be a central driveway going up with each of the units on either side on a north-south orientation, as you see on the left. And then one thing to point out is this dumpster here, one of the conditions was that would be slightly pushed to the north. It came in a change at the very last tail end of the review, and so we added it as a condition. And the developer doesn't have a problem. They have plenty of space on the lot to be able to shift that north, so it's outside the green space. The north half here you see is very similar, just the same road coming up with the buildings on either side. There will be a connection into the subdivision that's to the east, so that will be interconnected with two different ways in and out. And then there was also another condition here. As you can see, this kind of the road comes off at a very sharp angle, and there isn't a curve radius right there, but like there is on the other side. So we requested that be redesigned so there'd be a curve radius on both sides of the drive. Again, that was another late addition to the comments. Here is the plan as it appears on the overall environment. There will be fencing included along any of the parts where there's a single-family residential. And I mentioned the stub-out connection, but you can basically kind of see how that all interconnects there with the development. And then the elevation view, because this is for age 55 plus housing, there's no 2 stories. It's all going to be a single-story development, and you can see basically what those will look like. And the landscape plan meets all our regulations, the drainage being on the right-hand side there. And then finally, the site plan looking to the north. Staff is recommending approval with 4 conditions. The applicant does need to file a lot split. They have actually done that and has just completed the staff review, and hopefully we'll get that to you at the next board meeting for accepting easements for that lot split. The applicant needs to correct the issue with the green space buffer with the dumpster along the south side, as I mentioned, and the applicant needs to correct the curve radius, which I just showed you too. And then there were some minor amendments needed to the drainage report and other design issues with the utilities and such that just need to be kind of massaged. That could be done with the construction plan set, but we just want to make sure that the condition was in there. And then just to be sure they're aware that the applicant is requesting a parking space reduction, and that's needed due to many of these units being single bedroom units, so the anticipation is not needing 2 vehicles for single bedrooms. And with that, we are available for any of your questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Ben. Is there anyone in the audience that has a comment or question for Resolution 10-22? Yes, ma'am, if you will please come to the podium, state your name and address, and you will have 3 minutes.
My name is Janet Tracy. I live at 2264 Aspen, which is right off of the road where they're going to build.
Thank you.
And 3 years ago, when I moved there in 2011, they had 5 houses with mine. And then 3 years ago, they built more houses on my street and the street adjacent. And during all this construction, Aspen and the adjacent street, construction trucks tore up all the street. Aspen is Lake Francis is a mess, and nothing has been done to repair it. And traffic has increased on Aspen and Lake Francis because traffic's coming from 59 to Lake Francis, and just getting out to go to work anymore, it's hard. So I'm adamantly opposed to these buildings to be put in. because of the traffic situation.
Thank
Thank you.
Anyone else? If not, directors, comments or questions?
Madam Mayor?
No. Lisa?
I agree with Janet. The road conditions in that area are horrid. I go down it to go to my mom's every day, and it's horrible. What plans do we have in repairing that road and getting it up to standards?
Kevin Moore, City of Siloam Springs Engineering Department. We're currently designing improvements to that road from the railroad tracks to Washington Street. So we'll straighten out that S-curve and then rebuild. It'll be a full rebuild of that road to get the pavement into acceptable condition.
You know about when that's planned
It's budgeted for this year.
for this year? And will that take out some of that property, Phil and Dorothy Smith property? How's that?
We do have extra right-of-way. I don't know the property you're referencing. We have extra right-of-way from a previous development, the apartments, I believe, on Aspen. When those came through, the city got extra right-of-way in that area so that we could straighten that double curve to make that more manageable.
Right, like this and not, okay.
Madam Mayor.
Philip?
So, Kevin, I think it's Aslan Place is the
Aslan,
the
yes.
fourplexes to the north. And then there's the house right there when you're going east on Lake Francis and you make the curve, and the house right there with the tractor in front of it. That house with the tractor in front of it,
Yes,
which
Phil and
is,
Dorothy
what's the last name?
Smith.
They'll probably actually get a little bit more property in front of them because the road will angle further north to line up with the straight shot to the railroad track, correct?
Yes, that portion would be shifted north and west.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Yeah. That house is over 100 years old. So it's interesting. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. David?
Yes, Madam Mayor. Question for Ben. On this project, it is age 55 plus. Is that part of our authorization, or could this developer later come back and change that to not be age 55?
It's not part of our authorization, but my understanding is they have an AFA grant that requires them to stay with that type of.
Do we have any ability to require them to stick with their original plan? Like, and I go back to the previous one in that I don't know how long it was years ago that they first developed it, but it was supposed to be the same. Do we have an age thing where if they say this is the way it's going to be, then they have to stick with that?
Well, I mean, the approval would be for the development as presented. As to whether the age restrictions, I would imagine we could potentially put a condition on that, but I would have to vet that with the legal department to know whether that's something we can do legally as a city or not.
I like this one in that it is, doing a certain level of income or below, like the average income, and then another percentage below. And I think that's great for that market, that we can have somebody come in and want to do this. And I appreciate the fact that, as you put in your report, many people may not have the number of vehicles that would a full large family or growing family would for this many residents. So I think there will be less traffic on this street than it might be if it was not age related. So anyway, I just was curious. I didn't know if we had any authorization on that, and I appreciate this company doing this to help that market.
Thank you.
Madam Mayor,
Yes, Carol?
I don't have any questions regarding the facility, but this is needed in Siloam Springs, and I think it serves a very good purpose, and I hope to see it come through.
Madam
What else?
Mayor.
Brad? Okay, Marla?
What?
Nothing.
No, it's not. It's in your backyard.
Ben, I just have some comments. The parking worries me because I know working right next to Heritage Heights, it is a senior, and there's cars just everywhere. So that worries me, especially if you go over to Aslan, and they do have a garage, and you can't get down that street at times, like on the weekend or at the end of the day. So the parking worries me, and I looked at the number of spaces that was going to be in front of each building, and I just don't know if I can agree to that. You know, I know it's going to be for 55 and older, but at the age 55, I'm 60 and we have 3 automobiles, and not that they're all running at the same time, but you know, there's going to be that possibility. People 55 and older have not stopped living. They're still working and everything too. So my concern with the parking, and also in that it said that like 30% of the occupancy would have to be opened up to other individuals that met the income but didn't have to meet the age. Is that what I read in there?
I would have to go back and look at that again, but that sounds about right.
I think so. So
yeah.
that would be 18 of them, units that could have, you know, 5 people living in it easily. So, you know, that's another concern. And then, I don't like the dumpster sitting on the road. So, is there anywhere else you could put the dumpster besides right at the entrance?
Well, it is going to be shifted up because of the condition. The sanitation department looked at that, and that's the best location for their trucks.
Okay, and let's see. Oh, there are 2 houses that have the potential to have driveways that are going to have cars backing out into Lake Francis, close to that entrance to Lake Francis. Can you show me where those houses are in reference to that?
Right here, I believe, these 2.
Right.
Yep.
Where did their driveways match up to the entrance to the housing? I couldn't tell from any of the diagrams exactly how it was going to line up.
I mean, I believe, if you put the drive or the proposed drive in the center here of the project, it would line up with the driveway there. And I know that's something that engineering looks at when they review these to make sure there's not straight jogs and such like that, or driveway mismatches. So.
But we've got a resident that's going to be backing their car out of their driveway at the same time that people are going to be trying to get in through an intersection with the road. So that concerns me too. So that's all.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else?
Madam Mayor,
Brad?
I'm not going to drill you, Ben, even though I'm considering it. This came up before, if I recall, and it's been several years. It's been quite a while back, and they didn't get the funding to complete this project. And now it is resurfaced, and David's correct, it is a need. And there's multiple areas in town where these needs are at. One of the biggest things that people 50, and I am 55 and older, I'm not whatever that number, no, I'm just above 55. I'm 57 years old, and I want to downsize, and people want location, location, location. I think the concern is for folks over there, we've got a development with 3 units dedicated to serving households whose income are 30% or less of the AMI. And then you've got the remaining
for seniors whose income is at or below 60% of the AMI. But at the same time, in the past, we've talked about affordable housing, and that is where we're at today, providing that affordable housing. The rents are expected to be $400 for a one-bedroom and approximately $415 for two-bedroom units. And I can only encourage the city is that to address the needs that Director Sabatin's speaking of is that, and I'm experiencing it in Ward 2, and I've brought this concern up multiple times off some developments off Country Club. If code enforcement is not proactive and not reactive to complaints, proactive to code enforcement when this gets done, when it gets developed, if you're not in it early, it becomes unacceptable for the surrounding neighborhood. It's not fair. And having a lower income doesn't mean that it gives you a scapegoat from not meeting city code. And we're talking about vehicles parking across sidewalks, causing traffic jams, not keeping the dumpsters tidy, not just those real basic things. And I'd hate for the folks across the street. I'm for it, but I'm just encouraging the city. You've got to be on top of this stuff, and you have to. It's just the way we have to be, and it's the only way fair for the folks across the street as the developments come in. So, and we've talked about this before. Code enforcement's a tough job, and but to be fair to that surrounding neighborhood, we've got to be on top of this and make sure they stay to exactly what this preliminary plat that we're looking at. And I think that's the concern, and I see it across town as we develop these duplexes. And we have failed to address some of those issues. So I hope we learn our lessons, and the folks off Lake Francis will be able to benefit from that. And lastly, Sager Crossing off Lake Francis seems to contradict itself, but I'm gonna let that one slide.
Madam Mayor?
Yes, David.
Yeah, I was impressed with how low the rent would be and only $15 additional for one more bedroom. Ben, you mentioned they're all one level because of 55 plus. I take stairs in my house all the time. I'm over 51. I'm just kidding you. But I will tell you, there are only 3 units that are not required to be seniors. Is that what you said, Brad? I couldn't tell if you. Yeah.
I
Three.
didn't know if it was 30% of the.
No,
the
No, the
says
percentages of the income.
Okay.
Yeah, no, it's 3 units dedicated to serving households whose incomes are 30% less.
Okay, thanks.
And then the rest of the units, which there's, 60, are for seniors whose income is at 60% or below. And so I'm really impressed with the company doing this, and I appreciate them going after this market. And they're providing a lot of other amenities, a book exchange, library, laundry facility. It looks like they're really thinking ahead for their clients, and I appreciate it. But yeah, it's only 3 units that would not be required to be for seniors.
Madam Mayor?
Yes,
Um,
Philip.
I may be wrong, but it's my understanding in my discussion with the developer that all of the 60 units per ADFA are subject to the senior limitation. And that what that paragraph is stating is that 3 of the units would be, and he didn't say it in his application, for households, still senior households whose incomes are 30% of AMI or less, and the remaining are for senior households with 60% AMI or less. But my understanding in dealing with this developer on the first project is that per the ADFA tax credit financing, all of it is limited to seniors 55 plus.
That's the way I originally read it too.
Just difference, there's a few differences. There's some that are very low income, 30% or AMI or less, and then the remaining is the 60% AMI or less, but still all seniors, 55 plus.
Yeah, there's only 3 that are the low threshold of 30%.
Yes.
But I had originally read it that it's all for seniors.
That
Yeah.
was my understanding too.
Thank you, Philip. Anyone else?
Madam Mayor?
Mindy?
First, I want to say I'm very uncomfortable with us talking about 55 and seniors at the same time. I turned 55 this summer myself. So I'm right there. No, welcome. Thank you for coming and expressing your concerns to us. I do think that this is something we've been talking about for a while, is just a need in Siloam Springs, an opportunity for people who are 55 and up to have dedicated space. Hopefully that will alleviate some of the issues that you and others have experienced when that road is improved. I thought I remembered us talking about that one being on the list this year, so thank you for confirming that that is indeed the case. I think that's going to help a lot. I would imagine that there might not be as many vehicles, but that is a concern, the parking, and I would agree with Director Sappington about the concern, Director Burns, that it's something that we're just going to have to stay on top of. I don't know if there's any way we can go back and say we just need a little bit more space dedicated to parking. I don't know if the lot would afford that. It seemed like I saw something that said there is space that they could use as an extra parking lot at some point in the future if needed. Did I see that? Would that just be a cement area somewhere that people could park away from their homes, or?
So they own the entire lot right here.
Okay.
So there could potentially be an overflow parking on the north if we deemed it necessary, the north side of the project.
And who would deem it necessary? And at what point?
I mean, it would be up to the developer. I suppose the city could get involved if required, but it wouldn't be part of this development approval.
Okay.
Mayor. So Director Burns mentioned some developments off Country Club that are generally independently owned, maybe by different landlords, and so it's a little bit more difficult to deal with those. Here you've got a single property owner. If there is parking issues, we can go to that single property owner, the developer, who has to own this for, I want to say 25 or 30 years per the ADFA requirements. The additional parking that Ben said could come into play. And then I also think that if that becomes a problem, there is sufficient green space in separation of those 4 or 5 groups of parkings that there's a possibility to add additional parking on that drive. But I think that would be an issue where the city, through code enforcement, would go to that one property owner who's the manager of this property and be able to deal with them, versus in the discussion earlier, there's multiple property owners and it's hard to deal with it from a larger standpoint. But I think in this case, if it appears to be insufficient parking in this particular development, having that one property owner who's managing the whole property, we would have a little bit more leverage.
Okay, that is helpful to know. And then just one other quick question. I think when we first talked about this a long time ago, there were some concerns expressed by people that lived along Washington about what was going in behind. And at the time, or going in to the east of them, at the time it was a whole different plan than what is being presented tonight. But I think we had talked about a buffer. Is there a buffer on what would be the west side of that property? So between...
There is a green space buffer on, as you can see, they have the trees planted on the side, and I do understand they'll probably be putting a privacy fence in as well.
Okay, thank you.
Madam Mayor?
Yes, Marla.
Ben, real quick, where's the clubhouse located that they were talking about? Or,
I think that's right here.
and there's no way to put any additional parking around it?
Well, the issue is you have green space requirements. You have a requirement on our landscape code that says a certain percentage of the parking lot has to have interior islands. So if you're putting all the parking in there, you're removing your interior islands, and it's a violation of our codes. So you can possibly squeeze a few more in there, but we'd have to look at it. But They planned this specifically to meet our landscaping and green space requirements.
And that's why you said it in a nutshell. It's a violation of our code. And our code was established with a certain amount of green space, certain amount of parking per, and I think we need to be consistent in what we decide. If we set our codes up, I don't like going back and saying, well, we're going to waive this for this one and waive this for this one. Because we do things originally for a reason. And I'm for this, but I'm against the parking. And so it's kind of, putting me back and forth on side of the fence. Because, if you were the owner of that and in 5 years we come back and we would say, you need to put a parking lot down there at the end, that would upset me, and so the more information that we can supply the builder, the developer up front, if he knows that there's the potential that he would have to have more parking, is there any way to note that? Because, in 5 years, if we need him to put a parking lot down there on the north end where you drew a picture, I think that would be upsetting to me if I owned the property. And if I have known it up front that there's the potential of needing to put more parking at my expense, I would be much happier when I was told to do that.
Well, the developer came to us with the parking request, the reduction request, which they can do by code. The code allows the waiver without a variance. And they've done many of these projects all over, and they know how much parking they need. And this is what they presented to us. And we were in agreement, at least from a staff level, because so many of the units were one bedroom that generally do not require many vehicles. Yes, there's some exceptions, but generally speaking, you're not going to have as much parking requirement for the single bedroom units. We did the same thing up on Endura Park. They requested a 30% reduction, and we approved it up there for the single bedroom units. So we're being consistent with past projects.
Madam Mayor?
Yes, Brad.
The city administrator is correct. What I was speaking of is a little different dynamic, and they are duplexes. If you'll, off Country Club behind the co-op on Guntner, Skilner area, you'll see some older, smaller efficiency apartments, which kind of represent this. And the parking there is much more adequate than we're experiencing on the duplexes, because we know that is multifamily and much larger. But if you'll hop behind the old co-op off East Main, you'll see efficiency apartments. They're similar to this, with a similar parking, and it just doesn't, the way they're set up, you can't fit that many people in there, so it kind of regulates the parking. So as a reference, if you would like to look at that, I think that might give your mind a better concept of what's happening.
Thank you, Brad. Anyone else?
Madam Mayor?
Yes, Carol.
I understand the concern with the parking, because the newer duplexes that we have going up off of Kenwood, in that area, I have been down there. You can't hardly get down the street. There's kids there that you worry about darting out from the cars. I don't think you will see that concern as much in this development, because there's no children living there. There might be children visiting, but I think you're going to see less vehicles parking in this particular development. But I do understand the concern. But I think what they've got here is a good concept. It's something that we need. and I am in favor of this.
Thank you, Carol. Anyone else?
Madam Mayor.
Reed.
During my tenure on the board, I have been looking forward to someone coming in to build some senior housing. I'm glad to see this, and I've also been a proponent of getting Lake Francis up to code, or up to snuff, so to speak. And I think we're getting there. It's been good to see over the last couple of years how it's been working. I look forward to seeing the finished product. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Madam Mayor,
Lisa?
I have a question. Director Smiley said that there shouldn't be children living there. Is there supposed to be children? Because why would we have 2 bedrooms? Why would you have 2 bedrooms?
I mean, my understanding is for age 55 plus. They might have an older sibling that's 55 plus. I'm not sure specifically
I have
about
a child that's 16 or
that.
17.
Yeah, I don't know that, is there a representative of the developer here, or?
Sometimes couples sleep in different bedrooms too.
Or there's 2 adults.
I don't believe there's going to be planned any children there. I don't think it's not allowed per their funding. On the off chance they do have, grandchildren live with them. But yeah, I think it's for situations where they've got like a small family or siblings or that kind of situation for 2 bedrooms. So, any other questions for me?
Anyone else?
Madam Mayor?
Yes, Brad.
So, example, a caregiver,
Yeah,
is that allowed? Or
I believe so, as long as they meet the income requirements and the age
That's what
requirements.
I anticipate
Yeah.
at that age.
That would make sense.
Or they may just want more space. Have an extra bedroom for company,
Guest room,
for the
yeah.
grandkids to come and stay overnight.
Yeah.
Anyone else? If not, do I have a motion to approve Resolution 10-22 for the significant development permit, East Lake Francis Drive?
So moved?
Second. We have a motion and a second. Roll call.
Burns,
Yes.
Hunt,
Yes.
Whistler,
Yes.
Allen,
Yes.
Carroll,
Yes.
Sappington,
Yes.
Smiley.
Yes.
Motion is approved. Thank you, Ben. Next, we will move on to our staff reports. We have our December financials and the administrator's report. Philip?
1 second here to get my computer working. Thank you, Madam Mayor and Board. You have the December financials. They are not the year end, but they are the end of the month for December. We'll be bringing the year end a little later this year. I have 4 expenditures to report. In the electric department, $36,710 for 5,520 by 240 watt pole top mounted transformers. In the fire department, $33,464 for a Dodge 1500 crew cab 4x4. In the Parks and Rec department, the Ventric slope mower from Sourcewell for $47,344.57. And then in the IT department, 2 virtual hard disk drive storage for replacement for $47,084.99. I want to report for the public that the terms for wards 1, 2, 3, and 4 are set to expire at the end of 2022, December 31st. And so this year, we will be having elections for wards 1, 2, 3, and 4 for the ward directors. The filing time will be between Wednesday, May the 11th through noon on Thursday, May the 26th. Those filings will occur in the city clerk's office. Forms for anyone who is interested in running for that board position are available in the city clerk's office. The primary election will be held on August 9th and the general election on November 8th. There will be a press release tomorrow in the paper notifying the public that the opportunity to pick up applications, if someone wishes to run, are available again in the city clerk's office. And if anybody has any questions, we would refer them to the city clerk. As typical on COVID, I have given you updates Per the Northwest Arkansas Council, as of January the 31st, Benton County had reported 943 new cases. Washington County reported 738 new cases. Collectively, Northwest Arkansas hospitals were caring for 163 COVID patients, 111 which were on ICU or in ICU, and 50 on ventilators. I think that number changed as of today, but I wasn't able to get it into the report. Per the Arkansas Center for Health and Improvement, the 14-day infection rate per 10,000 residents in Benton County has increased over the last month. 56 in January the 3rd, on January the 3rd, to 245 on January the 17th, to 288 as of the 24th of January, and in Washington County on those same dates from 59 to 317 to 315. And then they also track it based on active cases per 1,000 residents in Benton County and Washington County. And as you can see, in mid-December, we were only at 2.2 in Benton County, and as of January the 28th, January the 23rd, we had jumped up to over 29 per 1,000 residents, but as of the 28th, we dropped down to 24 active cases per 1,000 residents, and the same thing happened in Washington County. My point of all this today, at least, is the latest numbers dropping in Benton County from January 23rd of 29.67 to January the 28th to 24.74, and Washington County on those same dates from 35 to 25. So hopefully it means that we're starting to see the peak. We've seen the peak of the Omicron variant, and maybe we'll start seeing those numbers come down. But I would be remiss if I didn't ask the public and remind the public that I think it's still very important to follow the social distancing, wearing masks when you're in enclosed areas where you can't social distance, and reminding everybody to practice good hygiene. It's hopefully going to, we'll see those numbers start coming down, but it's still very important on our part to do our part. We are preparing for the winter storm that everyone is predicting. Public Works, Electric, Police and Fire are all in preparation for that. They've checked their generators. Diesel generators we've added the additive to that to make sure it doesn't freeze as it did last year. Street divisions have already started putting brine out on certain streets. They'll be treating the hills and the bridges. Tomorrow afternoon and early Thursday morning, we'll be making decisions as to whether or not to close city facilities, either early tomorrow, depending on what the weather is, and or on Thursday, or have delayed openings on Thursday. But that'll all be dependent upon what the conditions are at that particular time. The broadband feasibility study, I wanted to give you an update on that. I've been working with the consultant to develop the questions for the telephone survey. I will mail those out to the committee tomorrow so that they will see them. The consultant is planning on starting the telephone survey next week. We'll start to put information out to the public via social media to be aware of that. And also next week, I believe the online residential and online business surveys will be active and alive, and we'll put the information out on social media for those also. We'll probably do some advertisements in the newspaper. We'll try to get as much activity on those as possible, but that is moving forward, so I wanted to let you know that. And Madam Mayor, that's my report. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Philip. Before I move on to the directors, I have an item that I would just like to make you all aware of. I had requested from staff a letter to our highway department, and we received, we had asked for a meeting with them to discuss future improvements to Highway 412, also realizing that Highway 412 has been designated as a future interstate. They were happy to come and meet with us. We discussed those Highway 412 improvements in the future, what the impacts might be if as designation as an interstate, tractor-trailer traffic, some of our concerns that we have voiced here. And they have told us that they too are kind of in a state of trying to decide exactly what is going to happen, because they are still receiving information on what is going to be in the future. They have assured us that they will let us know as those plans develop and will keep us informed. So I just wanted to make you all aware that they have been here, they have talked with us, very receptive to working with Siloam Springs. One of the attendants was Philip Taldo, who is the highway commissioner for this area. He lives in Springdale. He is very, very aware of Siloam Springs and what is going on here and our growth. Matter of fact, he told us that he loves Siloam Springs, that he and his wife attended one of our early dogwood festivals and actually ended up with a purchase that ended up being a painting worth quite a lot of money. Isn't that right, Philip? I think, yeah. So anyway, I just wanted y'all to be aware that they are going to be working with us and keeping us informed as we move forward. So with that, I would also ask that everyone be safe. Make sure you watch the weather, and we hope that we don't get anything really, really bad. So thank you for letting me tell you that. And with that, we will move to the directors. Mindy, we will begin with you, and David, we will end with you. Mindy?
And mine is short and sweet. Just want to encourage everybody to stay warm and stay safe.
Thank you.
The Sager Creek Advisory Committee had our third meeting last night, so we've got some exciting things that will come in front of the board here in a few months. One of the things on our agenda, consent agenda, was the WOKA Kayak Park Trail. I just encourage folks to hop online and take a look at that trail, the comparison of what that is and what that really means to the area. If you look in the foyer, they've got want you to visit the WOKA site. An example is 85,000 visitors will anticipated to come into the area each year, providing somewhere around 900,000 annual tourism dollars. And I can only say that these tourism dollars are the beginning of how we offset additional costs that all board members have been concerned about, and I'm happy to see that. I was surprised nobody pulled it, but more importantly, I'm happy that we're supporting that. And in my research, and folks share stuff with me, so I got an Arkansas Democrat magazine, Sunday, July 1, 1956. And it talks about water can often be the lifeblood of the community. And it speaks of when the Lake Francis Dam broke. Of course, it's busted several times. The process of getting that back online, the importance that we found about that, and some of the bond that we did to make sure that we got those tourism dollars back, because it was vital to Siloam. There were 5,000 residents, and there were only 3 people that voted no. And it's just, we are just once again in an opportunity zone. We are just bringing things back that our forefathers enjoyed, and it's just a different version of that. And I will tie Sager Creek, the potential of that, and what we have going on south and west of town for the next generation. It's just, it's a unique opportunity. I'm excited for Siloam, and I'm more excited that we can create dollars to offset additional increases. Thank you.
Thank you, Brad. Marla?
Real quick, I want to express our condolences to the family of Bob Gray and of Robert Jordan. And I want to encourage the community to look up the CPAC that's going on, the plan that's going, the CPAC. Did you get that? Yeah. The economic development portion, I've been reading it, and it's very interesting. And I think there's many parts of it online that the community needs to look at and see where our plan is going for the future of Siloam Springs. And I want to thank Janet for coming in and speaking. I know she has a great concern, and she had given me her letter in person, and I had visited with her some. So I just want to thank her for coming in. And just be safe. There's going to be kids out of school playing. And just, if you don't have to go anywhere, don't go anywhere.
Thank you, Marla.
All right.
Lisa?
I just want to announce Siloam Springs Community Prayer Group led by Lori McCain. They're having their monthly prayer at the chamber at 9 a.m. on Friday, February 5th. The prayer will be led by Wayne Thomas for Kind of Heart Ministries. I think most people are familiar with him. With the COVID and everything going on, it's a good time to be praying for other people. So if you want to join them, it's February 5th at 9 a.m. at the Chamber of Commerce. I guess weather permitting.
Thank you, Lisa. Reed?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I just want to give a shout out to the City of Siloam Springs for the proactive approach that we have taken to preparing for storms. Our Public Works Department, Electric Department, street crews that are going to be out there doing lots of work while we're home warm, drinking some coffee. Our first responders, I appreciate the work that is going to be taking place when they would probably like to be home in a warm place drinking coffee as well. I would just ask that as our community, we be aware of our neighbors. Just make sure that maybe your neighbor's taken care of and things are fine with them as well as we experience a little bit of cold weather here and make it through. Thank you.
Thank you, Reed. Carol?
Well, my thoughts are with those that perhaps don't have shelter. I hope they stay warm and safe. I also encourage, if you have pets outside, to bring them inside and find a warm place for them and provide them with food and water. I want everybody to be safe on the roads tomorrow. Be considerate of others that are driving, that are out on the roads. And as Marla said, if you don't need to go out, stay home. Thank you.
Thank you, Carol. David?
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? We are adjourned.